some may say, the consumer may say, you know, the price of beef went down from 416 in 2015 to 378 today, which is a 10% drop off, right? And remember, the consumer is very one-dimensional. The consumer doesn't go to the stories. The consumer doesn't remember what you and your father did. The consumer is thinking about, if I can send 10 cents or 10%, I'll go to Target over Walmart. I don't care who's getting my business. I just need to save my money. But you guys lost 40% during that period. So again, the price went down 10%, but your business margins went down 40%.
Correct.
I guess the question becomes the following. Why should the consumer be concerned about you losing 30% to want to buy the product from you versus going and saving that 10% that they're going to get themselves?
Because if, as an individual producer, I go to out of business, that makes them rely upon the multinational corporations to provide their food supply, not just beef, but their food supply all around. And we know what they've already done is lower the quality of beef coming into the country, being imported into the country, and the consumer doesn't know where that food safety issue lies. They need to have the choice to do that. And if I'm gone as an individual producer, who fills my shoes now in this time and age? Nobody. Only multinational corporations, the conglomerates, the control.
Why should the consumer care?
Because it's a food safety issue.
Okay, so that's where I'm going. Okay, so if it's a food safety issue, you're saying buying meat from outside of the United States is not as safe as buying the meat that's made in the United States.
I would say that as a personal human being, absolutely. We have the highest quality beef supply, the safest beef supply. We've spent the last 150 years improving our herds. We have the best beef available on the planet. We want that to be differentiated from those people who have not worked so hard to be in the U.S. market. You know, USA beef is the best product in the world. There's no other product that is comparable. We have the safest and the highest quality beef in the world. And I hope the consumers realize that, and I hope they choose that and will pay a little bit more money to local people to do that.
I'm for the small business owner, but I also know, you know, Tyson, JBS, all these guys are going to come out. I mean, you even heard JBS was trying to buy National Beef back in 2009, and that would have been a whole big monopoly. And JBS is a Brazilian-based company, which makes no sense for a company.
Well, let's talk about that, Patrick, because JBS and National Marfrig are both Brazilian-owned. JBS is both owned by the Batista family. Josely and Wesley are the two brothers that are heads of that corporation. And those brothers just got out of prison in Brazil for fraud and unfair market or trade practices in their country. They just got out of prison. Both of those boys spent a year in prison for fraud. In 2017, JBS sent, we were importing Brazilian beef. They sent, not us, they sent it all over the world. Rotten meat. They got caught in that scandal. It is a food safety issue like no other. And when you have two, I mean, we're selling our souls to other countries. We're depending on other countries. Same way with China. Everybody's talking this week about all of their medical supplies coming from China, right? Nobody knew that. I didn't know that. I'm on a weekly regimen of chemotherapy and have been for a year and a half. I don't know where that comes from. I never thought about it, right? So now we have all these people don't know where their food supply is coming from, and it's all a safety issue, right? I mean, when 2 of our 4 main beef packers are Brazilian-owned, foreign-owned, and they have that much power, and they've been caught in these fraudulent cases in their own countries, what do you think they're doing in the United States, right? They don't care about the American consumer. And I'm not against the American dream. I love the guy that starts out small, gets big, and grows big. I think that's awesome. But this isn't that. This is a corruption. And when people say, Shad, what would you do to change the industry? I start at the top and I say, we got to end corruption. We have to enforce the Packers and Stockyards Act of 1921, which guaranteed a level playing field for the producer clear to the packer. We have to enforce antitrust laws that we have on the books that keep these acquisitions and mergers from happening. We have these laws. Why aren't they being implemented? Why is the federal government allowing the acquisitions and mergers to gain control? Because it's a part of a globalist economy, a global economy. And I'm fine with a global economy, but it's got to be fair for the producer. It's got to be fair for the independent producer of the United States. Any producer, whether you're producing rocking chairs or cows, right? The American dream is about private property rights. Without your ability to own private property rights, or to own private property, whether it's land or a business in town, you don't have the ability to be a part of a free market system, a capitalistic system. And these are all private property rights that are being taken away from us day by day.
How are the houses?
Well, let's take for example, there's in production agriculture, there's these new measures called the global roundtables. And let's take the specific one that I know deeply about is called the Global Roundtable for Sustainable Beef. And what that is was created by the United Nations. They implemented this control mechanism called the Global Roundtable for Sustainable Beef. They implemented it across the world through the World Wildlife Fund. The World Wildlife Fund is a environmental organization that does not believe in private property rights. They're a very enormously money-driven organization that wants to take you off your land. So they have implemented this deal called the Global Roundtable for Sustainable Beef, and it controls production standards from top to bottom. So what it does is they come in at the top of the chain, the supply chain, and they say, okay, you're going to produce this at this cost. You're going to implement these production standards. You're going to do this to your cattle. You're going to do this to your land. They're going to have third parties that come in and audit it. And so then they have you captured, and it creates a bottleneck. And if you don't get on board, you are not allowed to play in the market. And that has already come to fruition in Brazil under the Global Roundtable for Sustainable Soy. In 2016, they implemented that, and a whole host, and I won't say how many, of those Brazilian soybean farmers declined to be a part of the Global Roundtables for Sustainable Soy. They were kicked out of the market, and many of them committed suicide. These are control communistic methods that have you embrace you by the neck. They take you by the neck, and you are going to adhere to their production standards from top to bottom, or you're not going to be in the system.